It's all right. I hope all that Papa was saying was registering in your minds. The little stink and the little from the relationship. What Mama told you, my own Mama equally told me. Okay. We take this chance to call on Mrs. Binanengi Ilana to please give us a speech. May I round of applause?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, teachers, and good morning, young stars. I'm glad to be here today. I came in from Yenagua, Bayelsa State. I would like to start by saying that everybody was once a child. You can ask Paokara, he will tell you there was once a child. Perhaps except for Adam and Eve. And then when I was a little girl, I used to wonder that maybe Adam and Eve did not have belly buttons. There's a novel. Since they were not children, they were not born. But the rest of us all have belly buttons. So we were once children. And as children, we are very curious. I don't know if we, if anybody, we all, maybe most of us, know about this poem about the naughty boy. The naughty boy in England that ran away to Scotland by maybe Rudyard Kipling or so, or a name that sounds like that. There was a naughty boy, and the naughty boy was he. He ran away to Scotland, the people for to see. Then he found that the ground was as hard, that the yard was as long, that the song was as merry, that cherry was as red, that lead was as weighty, and fourscore was as 80, that a door was as wooden as in England. So he stood in his shoes and he wondered. He wondered, he stood in his shoes and he wondered. That poem covers our lives as children, as teenagers. Once upon a time, adults were very curious too. When they were about your age, I was too, very curious. And that is a very good time for learning. I attended about 4 primary schools. Started in Lagos, Port Harcourt. I went home. My primary 1 was in Lagos, primary 2 at home, primary 3 in Port Harcourt, primary 4 at home, primary 5 in Port Harcourt, 6 in Port Harcourt. Then I attended ACMGS, Elilima. And through these years, I was curious about a lot of things. And I read books. And I want you to permit me to boast a little. And I traveled a lot. How many of us want to travel? How many of us would like to travel? Good. I traveled a lot. Without little or no money. I was being sponsored by people I did not know, people who did not know me. I could go anywhere I wanted. One day I could be in the US, another day maybe I'm in Japan. I could go to the north of Nigeria, east, west. I traveled a lot. And do you know how I was traveling? I was traveling in the world of books. There are no risks in it. You don't need to spend much money. You just travel. I can be here with you and I'm in Canada and you'll think I'm here. And then when you say hello, I'll just come back to Nigeria and say, hey, did you call me? When we finish talking, I go back to Canada and continue. So if you are not traveling in the world of books, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing. There is so much in the world of books. You can get lost in it. But you have to be very careful. Go to the safe places, safe worlds, safe nations. There are some walls that are not good for your age. You have to avoid those walls of books. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your parents may think you are there. You don't even need permission to go anywhere. You just take your book and you are there. And you just read on. And sometimes I'm in your classroom, you will not even know. I'm an arts person, but I could just delve into science. Nobody will query me. I just read. And then I get to know a lot of things. This is the time to read, not when you are old. As you are reading, you are developing your faculties. By the way, let me give you a quotation about faculties. One Thomas Higginson said, "It is the use we make of our faculties which render them valuable." The use we make of our faculties render them valuable. That is very important. And another person, William Ernest Henley, said, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." The last two lines of his poem read this way: "You are the master of your fate. If you succeed or you don't, you are the cause of it. You are the captain of your soul. You decide where you want to go. You decide what you want to do. This is the time to decide on what you want to do. You are in your formative years. You are like cement, sand, and water being mixed together. Right now, you are being mixed. You have to decide what quantity of cement you want in your life, what quantity of water, what quantity of sand. Because a time will come when you cake, and once you are caked, that is it. So please, I have been like you. When it rained, I'll just pick up a book and read. Just try to read. Read your school books, read other books, but make sure you are in a safe world. Travel the way you want to travel, without money, without risks, or very little money. And you will enjoy your journey in life. Because as you read, you are building yourself, you are building your faculty. Knowledge is power. When you read, you develop confidence, self-confidence. It comes through reading. And all those people you know and see, those people you cannot reach, somehow you can reach them. You can hear them speak to you. You don't know you are invisible. You are speaking and they can't see you, but you can hear, you can see. You can see their words, you can hear their words. So reading to me is very important and it's very interesting. As far as I'm concerned, I'm traveling. I just travel. Anytime I like, I just travel. So children, I would like you to tell each other, please travel. Travel. It's not risky. It's not expensive. And you are going to enjoy such travels. Travel into the world of books. Clap for yourselves. So from today onwards, make sure you travel and you tell your friend where you went to. Okay? You can even tell your parents where you went to. And they will be amazed. You just call them and say, "Mommy, I'm just coming from the US." And she will turn and look at you and say, "What do you mean by that?" Just show her your book. I just went to US. You don't need a visa. Thank you very much.
You should clap more than this. One good thing I could hear from her very well is that she described all of you as young stars. Young stars. You know, there's a difference between young stars and youngster. All of you are young stars, so please, take advantage. We are coming to the book reading proper, and we have the Honorable Minister here with us. He is going to take you through the reading. And what actually is the significance of having him coming around to read to you? As high as he must have attained, he still reads books. So for you to get there, you must cultivate the habit of reading. Okay. Well, conspicuously, Chief Elechi Amadi is not here today. We simply miss his presence. But we have our moderator, Mrs. Kalango, who is here too. We should be positioning for the reading.
Well, good morning, everybody. I don't know about you, but personally, I'm very excited to be here this morning with you. My name is Mrs. Kalango, as they've said. I represent the Rainbow Book Club, and what we do is to encourage reading and the love of books for development of society. We started off about 6.5 years ago, and this is our 7th Get Nigeria Reading Again campaign. And about 3 years ago, we came up with the idea of inviting role models on board the campaign. So we get them to read to children. And as Mr. Kwazon said, what it does is that you have someone in front of you that you look up to, and you want to know how has he got to where he is. And we want to show you by bringing them here that reading has played a very important part in his life, and that's what he'll be sharing with you. So he'll read a portion to you, and then we'll have the opportunity to interact. And hopefully from this encounter, you would go home refreshed, enlightened, and enriched in every way. Are we excited about the reading? Thank you very much. Let me acknowledge those on the high table. First, welcoming the Minister. Thank you very much for making time out of your busy schedule. And the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Dame Alice Lawrence Lemmy. She's doing a great job in education, and we are really proud of what she's doing. Can we give her a round of applause? You may be aware that Rivers State recently came first place nationally in an assessment of universal basic education. So I think she's doing a great job. Mr. Berthelot, bonjour. Je suis très contente d'être ici. La collaboration entre le Rainbow Book Club et Total, c'est quelque chose qui me plaît beaucoup. Et j'espère qu'il sera une partenaire permanente. Merci. You didn't know I spoke French. Mr. Nadi, you're welcome as well. Thank you very much. I want to thank Pa Gabriel Okara for taking time out to be here. His poetry recital and the little story he shared with us are so rich and laden with lessons of life. It's an honor to have you here, sir. Thank you. And Mrs. Nengi Ilara, who has written books that have won prizes at the Association of Nigerian Authors level and the Nigerian NLNG prize as well. Now, just before the minister reads, I'd like to tell you why have we chosen him as a role model? For several reasons. First of all, I'd like to refer to him, if you don't mind, sir, as a Port Harcourt boy. And I say that because he's from this state, but he's also a very good role model. He's a lawyer by profession, and he comes from a family that values education. I believe his dad was a prominent educationist, and was he the first black principal of the famous King's College? So this is a good breed we have here, from a good stock. And his mother also set up a school in Port Harcourt, one of the, among the first private schools set up in Port Harcourt, and the school is still on today. So do you agree with me that we're in good company? Yes. Can I have a round of applause for him? Before we delve into the book, may I ask, has every child here read the book? Can we have a show of hands? Have you read the book? Or haven't you read the book? Have you read the book? Okay, I want to see if you really read the book. Can one person tell me, summarize the book for us? Would someone like to, in 2 minutes? For the benefit of those of us who have visitors who may not have read the book. Can we? Yeah.
Written by Ajumogobia is a great poem. In it summarizes the arguments that arise in claiming of the ownership of the great pond, which is formerly known as the pond of Wagaba. It created a lot of anxiety and there was a lot of kidnapping and fighting. If not for the intervention of other communities, I think it would have been very bloody. But when the intervention came to be, there was a peace at which. And unfortunately, the pond was not owned by anyone because a suicide was committed there. So the pond was just left aside.
Thank you very much. Please clap for him. It's a tragic story. It's about tension, as he has explained, between two villages, Chiolu and Aliakoro, and they go to war over ownership of the great ponds. So there's this highly tensed plot, as it were. And the conflict affects other communities. So it's not only the two communities involved, but their neighbors are also affected as well. There's fighting, there's killings, there's kidnapping, and all sorts. Then the neighbors decide to intervene. They decide to call a meeting where they can broker peace between both communities. And Olumba, who's one of the head warriors of Chiolu, is asked to swear an oath that if Chiolu is the owner of the rightful owner of the pond, then he would not die within 6 months from the time he takes the oath. But if Aliakoro is the rightful owner, then Olumba will die within 6 months of taking the oath. And from there, they get into all sorts of spiritual battles. On the side of Chiolu, you have medicine men trying to make sure he doesn't die, while Aliakoro clan try to do everything they can to make sure he dies. But somehow he survives. He doesn't die after the 6 months. But Wago, who is the head warrior of the Aliakoro group, commits suicide by the pond, which is an abomination. Once that happens, then no one can fish from the pond. So unfortunately, after this incredible loss of lives, no one is able to profit from the pond. And then we see how much of a part superstition plays in that society. And it's so sad because while they are fighting each other, people are dying in dozens. And they don't even care to investigate why is there such an epidemic. They explain everything away spiritually. This demon or this juju man has done this or the other. Well, we find out at the end of the book that what actually was killing people was influenza that was ravaging the world at about 1918. So I think it would make a very interesting story. Without taking any more of your time, I'm going to ask the Honorable Minister to begin to read. I'll ask us to please go to page 79. We'll start reading from page 79, the second paragraph.
The Honourable Commissioner.
The Honourable Commissioner for Education, our hosts, the DMD of Total, Mr. Berthelin, my sister, Mrs. Coco Kalango, Sir Gabriel Bukara, and Ms. Nengi Laga, and our dear children, good morning. I'm really, really happy to be here to join you in this book reading. As we've heard, the habit of reading books is so important, and I'd really encourage you. Yes, it's important to do your schoolwork, which involves reading, but reading beyond your schoolwork, even if you're studying literature, Don't just read the books that are set for you. Read anything you can lay hands on. It's a good way to spend time. If you're waiting for somebody, have a book. You can, just a few minutes, rather than sitting there doing nothing or just gisting with your friends, read a book, you know. You've just heard what the story is about. I'm glad you've all read it. And what I'm going to read to you is a very important part of the book. It's right at the heart of the story. We'd heard about the fighting and the kidnapping and the war between the two factions. And then the neighbors, the neighboring villages decided, look, this is getting out of hand. Some of our own people are being killed. So let's try and resolve this problem. Let's try and bring peace. And so I'm going to be reading to you from that section where the peace was brought about and the oath was taken by Olumba. 5 months have come and gone since Chiolu and El Aliakoru began to fight each other for the possession of a portion of the Great Ponds. I am ashamed to say, but the truth shines like the moon and must be said, that we lent warriors to Aliakoro at the initial stages of the fight. It was a move I ought to have made, as later events have shown. The fighting has become so serious that both villages are now on the verge of starvation. Their farms are deserted. Children no longer play in the streets, nor can women plait their hair in the reception halls in safety. Worse still, the war is threatening to spread to neighboring villages. Truly, when one finger picks up oil, the others soon get soiled with it. What shall we do? Eze Nwosu of Omakachi spoke. There's only one answer to that question. We shall send arbitrators to the two villages and try to make peace. I'm sure they are so battle-weary that they will welcome peacemakers. When two cocks are tired of fighting, a mosquito flying between them is enough to stop them. The rest of the time was spent in appointing representatives. Elders noted for their impartiality in their various villages were chosen. Before anything could be done, the warring villages had to be notified. As Abiy had already learned, this could cost lives. 40 tough warriors were chosen from the 6 villages. Elendu Officiali was to command them. On the day appointed, the warriors gathered. Elendu reckoned that it would be wiser to make contact first with Aliakoro, his former allies. They knew him well, and with some luck, there should be no incidents. Before they set out, Elendu addressed the men. We must take all precautions to ensure that no one is killed, he said. That is why I told you to turn up in your best wrappers today. We shall take the widest and most beaten track to Aliakoro and do all we can to make those villages realize that we are a band of peaceful men. Shall we not carry weapons? Someone asked. Of course we shall, Elendu replied. Even marriage parties travel armed. There was laughter. I have another idea, a warrior from Abiy said. Let us carry drums and sing as we go. None will attack a party of singing men. This suggestion raised some chuckling amongst the men, but they soon realized it was an excellent idea. The whole thing is becoming funny, Elendu said, laughing. Yes, but it's better to drum our way to Aliakoro. This suggestion raised some chuckling amongst the men, but they soon realized it was an excellent idea. By mid-morning they set out, a colorful party of drummers, singers, and dancers. The trick worked. There were no incidents on the way, but the sound of the twigs being broken and the movement of bushes being pushed aside by unseen agents reminded the men of what might have been. These little signs showed the intensity of the hostilities. Every path was watched by men whose one desire was to kill. As the shadows began to lengthen, the envoys arrived at Aliakoro. They were shocked at what they saw, or rather, what they did not see. There were no children playing anywhere. Reception halls, the haunts of old men, were deserted. The empty three-legged chairs in them seemed to stare back at the drummers in protest. Through chinks in strong fences, women and children could be seen huddled in the backyards and hardly daring to laugh out loud. As for the men, there were no traces of them. It was a strange village. It was with considerable effort that Elendu and his men continued their singing and drumming. They moved to Eze Okehi's compound and filled his reception hall. The singing was stopped, and Elendu called out in a clear, loud voice, "Eze Okehi, peacemakers from Erekwi clan have come to see you. Come and give us cola, palm wine. We are hungry and tired." Eze Okehi came out when he recognized Elendu's voice. Elendu was surprised at the change in the old man. He looked much frailer. The lines on his face were now so deep that they held rivers of perspiration as he dawdled towards them. "Have you brought me the 2 remaining women?" the old man asked. "I have suffered much for their sake. Ever since they were kidnapped, Ali, the earth god, has been angry with me. I've had no peace of mind. An unending series of sacrifices has made me poor. If only my death would end this war. I would be too happy to die. I am old enough. My mates are all dead. Every night I dream of them and they beckon to me to the spirit world. But I do not want to die and leave a legacy of war to the coming generation." If Elendu had to interrupt the rambling old man to get in a word. "We have come to end the war," Elendu said. "We were sent by the Erekwi clan, of which you are part, to arrange for a peace meeting. Come now, let us sound the Ikoro to summon the villagers." "How do you hope to achieve anything?" Okehi said. "Our enemies have grown to love killing. Olumba, their devilish leader, is forever devising horrible schemes, and each day brings with it a different horror. Play your part and leave the rest to us," Elendu said soothingly. The Ikoro sounded and the haggard warriors of Aliakoro assembled. Elendu explained his mission. There were isolated protests from a few diehards among them, Wago, the leopard killer. But it was clear that the